Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dario here with another Options to Play video update. Straddles, strangles, right? Volatility strategies. You hear me talk about this all the time. The goal of these types of option trades is to catch a big move. The direction less important, right? So when you look at a straddle, for instance, it's because you think that the setup has the potential to move more than what the options are pricing in, right? So it's not necessarily that you're bullish or bearish. You're just saying that the options appear to be mispriced based off the overall potential of the pattern, okay? GE, you can see I have it just mocked up with some trend lines here, and you can see going into this quarter, right? So going into the earnings report on Tuesday morning, that it was in like this increasingly tight consolidation, right? Like a little bit of like a pennant that's formed on this over the last few months, and it was one of those setups where coiled spring, right? The tighter it gets over the longer period, it typically leads to a sharp resolution once a sharp move once it resolves the pattern, right? So with GE going into earnings, obviously huge catalyst, right? Tight pattern, option pricing seemed pretty modest, all things considered, and it seemed to set up well for a strangle, right? So, excuse me, the earnings were mixed. However, the stock had a pretty nice move on Tuesday. You can see it had a high volume break through the top of this resistance range, right? Pushed all the way up to 111, close to 111, came very, very, very close to hitting like the initial target for the strangle, but then it pulled back during that day. And the rule of thumb for volatility strategies for me is if it doesn't move enough the first day to hit the target or for you to get your money back, then 2 to 3 days post earnings is the time window, okay? Because not everything moves on, not everything has a huge move the first day, but sometimes what you'll see is that once it starts to get picked up on like the news networks and once people start to read about it and once the analysts start to chime in, that you get ratings changes, you get target increases or target decreases, right? So sometimes the initial move might be a little bit more modest, but 2 to 3 days after, as like the news flow remains heavy and you see analysts start to weigh in, you can continue in that direction or find direction if it's not moving at all, right? So when GE doesn't go enough the first day to reward the strategy, then you give it another day or potentially another 2 days, right, to see if you can establish direction and move enough to start to reward the position, right? Unfortunately, as you can see, opened and slid right back down, so that's a no-no, right? Not only did it not find direction, right, so it did not continue, but it broke back below this key resistance range. So yes, there's still some time left until expiration. However, the trade for the most part, is kaput, right? Because you're looking for a big move on earnings. It's had a first move higher, and now it's giving it up. Now it's resetting resistance. So right now, that trade is off the table, right? Because it didn't work on earnings. Yes, it might work down the road, but that's a different story because that's a different trade. For the earnings strategy, right? For the volatility strategy, it was a big move. Earnings as the catalyst. Obviously, earnings were not big enough, or the catalyst, or the earnings were not good enough, and now the stock is resetting, so you move on, right? So this is how you approach you approach volatility strategies, right? First day, if you can make your money back, or if you can make like a gain, then you can look to manage, right? If it doesn't move enough on that first day, then I like to give it up to like 2 more days to see. I mean, it depends on how much time you have until expiration. And if it still can't find direction after 2 to 3 days, then you need to think about either exiting or maybe rolling if you really like the idea still to buy more time, because that's about the window where you'll start to see the premiums really start to contract, right? 2 to 3 days post event, stock isn't moving, premiums are coming down. All right. So we'll see. I mean, middle of earnings season, a lot of big names still reporting this week. It's been some mixed action, but also starting to see volatility tick back up. So we'll see. I mean, that could really contribute to some big moves over the next 48 hours. So could be a wild finish to the week. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information about managing trades or managing option trades, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. Have a great night. Best of luck if you're playing in your earnings. Stay well, and we'll talk to you all tomorrow.